Dave, we're here today to talk about Gen Y employees, and I know you're real familiar with them and have worked on a lot of the technology uh, that they brought to the workforce. First of all, tell me a little bit about Gen Yers. What kind of technologies have they brought in?
We've seen lots of influence from the Gen Y employees. Anything from social media sites starting to pick up steam inside of an IT shop. Things as simple as instant messaging have become mainstream inside of IT shops, and that's something that really started as more of a consumer product outside of the corporate world. Everything to smartphones and different types of laptops and usage models. All kinds of these things can be brought in by Gen Y workers.
Um, have there been any hurdles that you've run across?
Oh, we've hit several hurdles. Number one, what we see today, especially with today's Gen Y worker, we see somebody who's more of a technology consumer than our past employees. If you look at the IT world 3 years ago, a lot of people used to come to IT because they had newer machines, newer technology, and they spent more money on technology than people did at home. Last 18, 24 months, that's really done a reversal. People spend more money on technology at home. They're a lot more technology savvy at home some of the systems are at work, and they don't have quite the restrictions placed on them at home that we do at work. So we see a lot of hurdles where people do things at home and they come into work trying to do the same type of things in the work environment that just wouldn't be feasible for today's standards.
Okay, what about security? Are there any security issues that you've had to wrestle with?
Yeah, a lot of the tools that are developed, a lot of the toys, a lot of the devices, a lot of the things that people want to be able to use nowadays, especially from some of the Gen Yers, are developed more for that open internet world, not really designed around a corporate environment. And because of that, the security standards aren't what we'd like to see from a corporate standpoint. And so we have to do two things. Number one, we have to look at ourselves as a corporation, say, is there something where we need to change as a corporation to embrace some of this technology? But number two, we also have to look at the technology and push for maybe some of the technology to conform more towards corporate standards. And security is a big part of that. We have to look at Intel, and we have to look at some of our stuff and make sure that our IP doesn't leave the company. And so some of these tools today don't really track that kind of thing, and we see where you broadcast something out on Facebook or something like this, and it's out there for the whole world to see, and that's just not something you want to do from a corporate standpoint. But there's a lot of benefits to it too, and so we have to gauge one versus the other.
Okay, tell us a little bit about some of the technologies that have proved to be positive and that you've actually adopted.
Yeah, so from a technology adoption standpoint, mobile phones in the workforce. They started out as just simple cell phones that people used to use from time to time, and now you have these smartphones. Everybody was using smartphones at home for different things, being able to check their personal email, so on and so forth. And with the BlackBerry revolution, so on and so forth, we're seeing smartphones are becoming the norm in a corporate environment. Instant messaging, again, instant messaging is something that started out in the consumer world with AIM and ICQ and all these other tools that people were using to communicate back and forth with each other instead of email. We've now brought that into the corporate fold, and we use instant messaging now to send short little messages instead of having to fill up our mail servers with mail all the time for one-line emails. So these are some of the things that we're seeing. We're social media tools, tools like Facebook and MySpace and these kind of things. Great for social interaction outside of work. We're seeing how we can bring those tools. We're starting to bring those tools inside house now, where we can do wikis and weblogs and all these other tools that we can use to a corporate standard now. Where we can share information about different groups within the company through wikis and blogs. So we're adopting a lot of these tools now. Again, some of them we're having to do some of the background work to make them work in a corporate environment, but we definitely see the value in some of these tools.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the value then. What's been the value of that Gen Yers have brought to Intel?
Again, so one of the nice things about the Gen Y influence coming into Intel is number one, we're seeing sets of tools we probably would have never seen from a traditional IT environment if we would have kept it the quote unquote same as it always was. They kind of push us to push beyond our reasoning and push beyond our normal thinking. So it keeps us fresh, keeps us on the cutting edge as it were. From a technology perspective, it allows us to attract and retain newer employees based on the working tools that we have here. We don't get seen as somebody set in their ways or the Model T of the corporate industry. Beyond that, again, using the example of instant messaging, we can, reduce our mail overhead, reduce our LAN and WAN consumption and our storage for mail systems by using something as simple as instant messaging. So social media, we don't have to throw PowerPoint slides out there in a file share and have people search for them to figure out org charts and stuff. We can now use a wiki site that people can reference and search through. So there's different values based, monetarily, just the being able to attract and retain people, just being able to do things a different way than they've done in the past, and it's keeping people thinking in a fresh new way.
Okay, thanks, Dave. What kind of technology influences do you see for the future?
We're already starting to see a lot of technology trends going. We used to think of the mobile worker as the person who would have a laptop and carry it with them from place to place. And we can already see with some of this Gen Y influence that the mobile worker may not be that as we move forward. A mobile worker is really a person who moves from place to place and will expect to be able to do different kinds of work on different kinds of devices. They're willing to accept different usage models depending on what they're working on. Being able to attend a video conference from a smartphone maybe in the future. Check a PowerPoint from a gaming console. You're seeing a lot more home automation stuff where people are using DVRs and stuff that are computer based, so on and so forth, that you can maybe have a live stream message from your corporate, CEO in the future coming down on your DVR system at home. So we've got to look at all these different influences that are out there and how they're playing in, to the IT world. And, whereas in the past we would have never considered supporting email on a gaming console, it could be something we have to do in the future. And these are just some of the things that we're looking at.